Okay, good. So thank you so much for being a part of us today. As I was saying, that our topic today is balancing career and relationships. Of course, the question is, where is my loyalty? Where am I supposed to put all my effort on? And even as we begin the topic for today, allow me to maybe just begin by asking a few questions. If you got a job, that requires you to leave, and now remember, I'm talking about a relationship, of course, a relationship that will lead to marriage. So if you got a job that requires you maybe to leave the country, and you have 2-year-old kids, 1-year-old child, that requires you to leave, especially as a mother, what would you do? If you got a job that requires you to work at night, of course, I know there are so many jobs that have night shifts, and maybe you have a 6-month-old baby, 5-month-year-old baby, what would you do? If you want to, especially, allow me to talk about this maybe now at our level. If you got the Mr. Right or the Miss Right, that person that you have been trusting God for, and this is a settled marriage, a settled relationship, and you got a scholarship to go study your master's or your PhD abroad, what would you do? So these are some of the questions that, of course, we find ourselves grappling with. We will find ourselves also grappling with the issues of who does the work chores, who does what at home. And in the modern society where we are in, sometimes the man and the woman are working both equal, very busy jobs, but maybe at the beginning of it, you find yourself maybe you may not be having a help at home. So who does the work chores? Who does the cooking? Who does the cleaning? Who does the washing of utensils? So these are some of the challenges that we are facing in our modern day time in the area, of course, of career. If I got a career that requires me to travel around the world, and on most occasions it will lean towards the man, the woman. As the woman, I am the one who is supposed to be there at home as the caregiver, as the nurturer, but then I'm the one who is having this job that requires me to be moving around the world. What am I supposed to do? Some of us will be faced by this. Some of us are already in such careers, and it is normally very challenging if I have not prepared beforehand. Many people have lost their relationships simply because of not being able to manage this area of career. So if I am not able to understand what I am supposed to do, then I'll find myself leaning towards one side and overlooking another. Others have lost their jobs because maybe they, again, gave too much attention at home or in a relationship and failed to give their best at work. This time of chatting and being online and of course all these communication pathways that we have, Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp. I mean, I am in this and I want to catch up with my friend because we are in a relationship. Where do I put my emphasis? Do I stop working so that I can be able to engage a friend that I really want to maintain a relationship with? How do I still perform at work and still be able to maintain a communication and a relationship that is working. So these are some of the issues that we will be looking into today. And I pray that even as we continue and as we have been here for a while now, we are remaining maybe with one more lesson to go, that we have grown and we have opened our mind to a point where we can be able to be confident that we will have healthy relationships moving forward. So the most important thing we can, for us to be able to have a balanced work relationship, work and relationship, or work and marriage, is to be intentional. We have to be intentional and of course making very clear decisions even concerning what is the priority. Where you have put your value, that is where you will put emphasis. Where you have put your value, that is where you will put emphasis. So if you put more value to a relationship, that is where you're going to put value. If you have put more value to a relationship, that is where you put more emphasis. If I have put value to the money I get from the work, I am going to put more emphasis on the work. And it is very easy to forget the relationship, because this is what I value more than the relationship. So even at the point of just having this discussion, it is important to ask ourselves, where have I put more value? And even because we are laying a foundation, there is nothing that is more valuable than family. One of the statements I've heard many people talk about is that if you, in the job you're in, that any place you're in, that business, whatever it is that we are doing, if today I drop dead and I am no more, there will be someone who will come and fill my place at work. In fact, people don't go beyond 2 days without replacing you in that place of work. But if it is a marriage relationship, if it is like a relationship of you're in a relationship and maybe there are children involved, there is no one who will ever replace you as a mother or a father. So yes, you can be replaced as a wife or a husband, but you cannot be replaced as a mother or a father. Once you're gone, you're gone. So what we are supposed to put more value to is relationship, because it is from these relationships that we nurture our children. It is from these relationships that we have a healthy environment to go home to. It is from these relationships that we get a place where we can come back and heal from the pain and traumas that we face at work. So our value, we should be able to be in a place where we can put more value to work, to family, than we have put to work. If we are to connect this message with what we talked about finances, it's that what happens is that because we have not, we have a too intimate relationship with money, we will tend to value work more than relationships. So we will find ourselves worshiping money, and we will find ourselves doing everything to be able to get the money. So we said preparation, that is, how prepared are you in that relationship? How prepared are you in that, for that work relationship? How prepared are you, and how intentional are you to make both work? Because both of them are important. Although I am saying we value family more, work is equally important, Because for me to be able to run that family, of course, there are these finances that are needed, there are bills that need to be paid. So I need to be able to also balance the two. So here we are talking about balancing. So what requires the intentionality aspect is the balance. I have to be intentional from the very beginning, as early as now. Those of us who are not in relationships, start planning ahead. Look into your life and ask yourself, what is this that you will prioritize more? I remember when I was in college, I must have been around either 21 years, and I remember I would always tell myself that I would really desire to be in a workplace where I will not leave my children to be taken care of by a house help, as in 100%. Like I am not present. That was my prayer. That was my desire. That is what I had intentionally thought over. And I said I must have been around 21 years. So as early as now, I can be able to start being intentional. And maybe let me share my journey when I'm at that point. So I finished college. I did food technology. Food technology has a lot to do with industrial work, and industrial work, being a quality controller or a production manager, it requires a long hours, sometimes 10, sometimes 8 hours, 12 hours. And the time that you are required to be at work are very long hours. So I worked for 4 years, and I looked at the nature of work, and I knew for sure, if I am to continue with this work when I get married, I am very sure I will not be able to manage family. And remember, because it was my desire from as early, I had to start making some choices. So when I got married, I did not continue with the job that I was doing as a production manager in a dairy. I left work and started businesses, and I did many of them. And during my time of raising my children in a span of around 10 years, I tried my best to manage businesses here and there. And these businesses were able to allow me to have more time to take care of my children. Of course, my husband was also into businesses. So somehow we were able to manage. But also because of the nature, being that he was in business and not employed, he also had an opportunity also to be present as we were, of course, raising our children when they were younger. So these are some of the decisions we have to start making early. And I said, what do you value more? Is it the career or is it the family? Where have I put too much, what have I put value to? Of course, many couples experience extremely strong forces pulling them away from the priorities that they would like their family to have. Sometimes you find yourself, the work and the benefits connected to it sometimes can be very draining. But again, when you know what you value, the values are the ones that are going to be like the containing. They're the ones that will contain you so that you don't find yourself overstretching. Another aspect I would want to share is, if I know my career is engaging, if I know what I do takes the bigger percentage of my time, then I have to take care of my off days. I have to balance my weekends. I have seen people who are in relationships or in marriage, and they pack the whole day. You literally pack your your holiday park, the weekends and every other time, such that although it is not work related, there are so many other social engagements you have engaged yourself in. And of course, you end up neglecting the most important thing, which is family. We may not really see how important family is until you reach your 60s, 70s. Around that age, friends are not there. The acquaintances are limited. You don't have workmates because you're retired. So family becomes the only connection point. So if you were not present to them when you were strong, what will happen is that, of course, they're going to also neglect you at your old age when you need them the most. When we are still young, like, of course, the ages that I know most of you are in, less than 30, a young person looks at life and sees, I mean, glam, life. I mean, sherehe, every single day. But there reaches a time when even those people, that crowd, that large crowd that you see around you, the fun and everything goes. And the family that you built when you were strong is the only one you are left with. So there must be an intentionality of making sure, of course, that these relationships stand. Again, if I don't put time to a relationship, of course, our relationship is going to be strained. So instead of going to work with a healthy mind, I will always go to work stressed. Those of us who, of course, went to public schools, you remember how many teachers would come moody, and you would tell that one came from home when they had issues. And sometimes it is those relationship issues. So if I have not been able to give priority to family, it is going to affect even my work. I will find myself going to work stressed. I will find myself not concentrating at work. I will find myself using the time that I'm supposed to be working, sleeping, or trying to think of issues that I left at home. And it is because I was not able to do the balancing. So work, family, or relationship balance is key to every relationship, even for posterity and also for the generations to come, and especially when children come. Again, it is even in making decisions. At times, yes, you're in a relationship, there is this partner that you have been able to commit to, but when you are making career decisions, you don't consult. That is another loophole, because it is going to create a gap, a drift between the two of you. You find yourselves not being able to agree because there are decisions that you are making on your own, or you are not involving your spouse. Again, when you get into a relationship, any career decision, whether it is promotion, whether it is moving from one place to another, whether it is advancing in your studies, it is important to discuss with your partner so that you're doing it together. Because then you are in this together. It is not a one-sided relationship. So I will not go beyond that because of our time, so that we can be able to look into the other part that Amy had. But I thought maybe that would be a good place to just introduce this, that the value we put, what we put value to is what we will prioritize. Balancing career and relationships has to be intentional. The other one is that we have to prepare early, be prepared early. The other one we have said, we cannot put value to something that has an expiry. Careers have expiry dates. But sometimes our relationships, even when we are gone, like I have lost both of my parents, but I keep remembering them. I refer to what they taught me a lot, because what they were able to impact in me is lasting. So what we impact in the lives of our children will be left beyond us. Yeah, so I will welcome Amy, and then we'll be able to continue with our conversation tonight. And please, if you can be able to send questions also, we will appreciate, so that we can be able to have this conversation together. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you, Madam K. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Fantastic. By the way, you look very nice. Thank you for that conversation. Again, this is very enlightening. So this information is actually quite, I think it's very relatable to a lot of us, those who are in relationships, those who are not in relationships. But Madam K, I think the first question is, do we really have to consult about everything? You've talked about moving, about promotions, about whether you want to further your studies, that we should have that conversation very clearly. Maybe you can emphasize to us more why exactly we are doing that. Is it so that we can have transparency, or is it so that we can have, why exactly do we need to do all that?
Remember, what we are looking for is harmony in a relationship, but we are also looking for peace at work. You will not tell me that you will be at peace if the person you're living with is quarreling every time you come back home. So yes, you can go ahead and say, I will do what I want. But if you're disagreeing with your partner every single day, that will be transferred at work. It is going to affect your output. It is going to affect everything concerning work. So we are doing this. I talked about intentionality. I know many people don't, but I have to be intentional, because I want my relationship to work, not to look like the ones I hear about, not to be like those ones I hear about my neighbor. I want mine to work. And for us, because I know most of us are young people, as we receive this information, use it as the blueprint. You use it as your navigation, what you will navigate life with. Take it as an advantage that you have had this before getting married. And there is no need of following what everybody else has done and they have failed. So I know it is not common, but it is important to have this discussion. And by the way, at the point of dating, these are some of the things we need to start talking about. I am doing this job. This is my dream. I would want to further my studies in the next 2 years or in the next 3 years. Maybe I would, in future, I might be pursuing a job abroad. Those are things that we are supposed to be having a conversation about. So that, because we said dating is an interview, so that as I'm interviewing, as I am checking whether this is the kind of person I want for a partner, I realize job-wise and career-wise, this is not the kind of person I want. Like personally, I had issues with anyone working in security forces. All of them. I mean, if we just met and I heard you mention security anywhere, it was a no. So that was one of my criteria of putting the ones I want to put off. So it is important to know what is this career. The most unfortunate thing, Emmy, is that some people get to courtship. Courtship, I mean, we are now even paying dowry, introducing to our parents and introducing to the church. We are those levels. And someone does not know where their spouse or their fiancé works. It is unfortunate. Yeah.
Wow. It sounds like dating, I think this is one of the discussions that are so easy to neglect, only for them to come and pose such a huge problem in the future. And thank you for just opening our eyes to such conversations so that we can know exactly what to look at, what to look out for, what questions to ask in this stage of dating, the interview phase. Now, speaking of peace and harmony at home, somebody sent in a question and said, my career is going really well. However, I worry because my husband doesn't seem to be moving. In fact, there is a possibility he will be let go of soon. How can I be supportive and still be a boss at work?
These are the realities we are in. I believe all of us are privy to what is happening, especially in our nation today. Having been, we are coming from a place of where women were not being highly educated. In the 80s, in the 80s and late 70s, you would find more men educated. But the times we are in now, women and men are equally educated. And the truth is that whether we like it or not, Emmy, at one point, one person will be earning more than another. And it can be the wife, it can be the husband. And not only earning, one person will lose a job before another. Someone may be demoted. It might be, these are realities. Sometimes I know these realities are not as real during courtship and dating. And of course, because also of the kind of guidance we receive, that don't get married to a person who does not have a job, somebody who does not have a fat pocket should not even come near to you. Yes, you may get that one who has that fat pocket. But the truth is that people lose jobs. The truth is that people are demoted. The truth is that companies shut down and lay off workers. So if it is one of you that happens to be either the husband or the wife, this is a relationship. It is not a business. So it is not about who is bringing more and who is bringing little. It is about building this unit called family. So the one who is the one bringing income steps up and supports the other without belittling the other. I know on many occasions when it is the woman who is having more money, there's a lot of belittling the man. But one of the things I really emphasize on is support. And many women have done this, and they have destroyed the ego of a man. And because that ego has already been destroyed, the man is not able to get out of that seat and go look for a job. You trodden on his ego, on his self-worth, on everything, self-esteem. He looks at himself as nothing. So for the rest of our lives, sometimes women find themselves struggling, but it is sometimes the words we used on them when they were low. This very rarely happens with the men. When it is the man supposed to be supporting the woman, somehow it comes automatically, although not everyone. But in this dispensation, the woman has to step up. This is the world we are in. If it is the woman who is in a position at that point, support the family. We are doing family here. It is the family unit we want to stand. Of course, some women will argue. I'm almost asking myself questions. What if you're going to make this man just relax and never look for a job? If you have had a conversation together and you know this is a family unit that you're building together, definitely you will step up. I am not saying there are no people who are lazy. We have lazy people. But again, if you did your interview well, you will have chosen the right person. Because laziness, integrity issues, trust issues, these are things that can be seen at the interview level. I mean dating. So if you do your due diligence well, you will not find yourself in that place where you're fearing or wondering whether this person really means what they're saying. Yeah.
Whoa. So really, you sound like you're emphasizing a lot about the premarital phase where we can actually have these conversations openly and honestly. But if in the event that you're already in the marriage situation and this is where you find yourselves, just support without belittling. Did I get it right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And these are conversations that are supposed to happen even during courtship. These are questions we need to ask each other. In case I lose my job, will you support me? In case I don't have income, how do we run our family? This is the reality of our nation today. We cannot live like it is not happening. We can't.
Wow. Okay. On the same breath, someone actually wrote in a message that is quite close to that particular statement. And they said, I recently lost my job and this is it. My husband and I have been married for 3 years now, but we have known each other for 5 years. We both have amazing careers and he has been a great provider for me. He, however, lost his job, and I now start feeling weird about him and giving him money. But I am trying my best to be supportive and provide money and support. Am I a terrible person for seeing him in a different light now? Please hide my ID.
We are talking, we are grappling with a tradition issue. And I am assuring you, every single lady listening to me, at one point you will grapple with that the man is the provider. That is the ideal. That is how it was. I was reading a certain book today, and it was talking about how the man was the hunter. His work was to go to the bush and get what, especially it was more of getting the meat from the bush, and the woman was left to gather fruits and the wild fruits and vegetables that the children would eat. And of course, the nurturer at home. And those roles were very distinct. Young people of 21st century, that is a gone case. Where the man was 100% the provider, it is gone. And that's why even many of us that are listening to me here, the families we grew up in, personally where I grew up in, my mother and my father used to wake up in the morning and go to work, both of them. So who was the provider? So that is where we are. And at one point, as I said, one of you will not be solely able to like do all the duties of supporting the family. On a little percentage, still there are families and setups where it is still the man providing and doing everything. I know because of that understanding, some families operate under this principle of the man's money is our money and my money is my money. And of course, because it is my money now, peradventure our money finishes, my money should not be touched. That is a recipe of conflict. Allow me to just take this concept of our money is our money and my money is my money. If peradventure that man is bedridden one day, so whose is your money? Which one now do we use as our money? So some of these ideologies, and sometimes, by the way, when I think about them, Emmy, I feel like they're just ideologies from the pit of hell. They have been manufactured in hell. And the devil is very happy to put those thoughts in our mind so that he can be able to cause division and conflict in families. And we feel very happy that we are informed and schooled when the truth is that we are destroying ourselves. So we talked about preparation, we talked about intentionality, and we talked about values. Those three are going to enable us to run a successful relationship. And also making sure that we are not governed by worldly standards. I am telling you, the level of worldliness and secularism that is in the world today, if that is what will govern our relationships, no wonder then relationships today are breaking after 1 year or even 2 months after honeymoon. And you're hearing somebody talking about my first marriage, second marriage, third marriage. I said these ideologies, some of them are manufactured from the kitchen of hell.
Wow. Hey, I think we need to change our minds and change our mindsets and just allow ourselves to have our minds completely transformed, and start thinking in a more realistic sense. Someone also has just sent in a message and they have written, I make more money. We have kids and we live abroad. Is it realistic for my husband to be a stay-at-home dad? So I think this is basically just what we have been talking about right now.
According to the setup of the abroad that I maybe have perceived, we are talking about maybe the UK and the US, Australia, those nations. Very few people are able to employ or have a caregiver. So there are people who sit down and agree that one of you will be the caretaker of the children for a certain time and the other goes to work. brilliant arrangement. If peradventure it is the man who is to be left looking after the children, I said it is a family unit we are building. Those are our children. That is our family. We should be able to do it without demeaning anyone and without looking down on anyone. Because we cannot equate the life of a person with money. I think some of the reasons why we have such a big challenge, it is because we equate the value of a person with money. Emmy, you look at me and you gauge me and you're gauging me with like 1 billion. You know the way, Kenya has a way of talking about billions like it's a shilling. So allow me to also use that billion. So you look at me and imagine like I look like 1 billion. And now if peradventure I'm not able to look the billion and I'm now looking the ordinary million, the way we have devalued money. So I look at their million, you start looking down on me. So the value of a person is not in money.
Good to know, good to know. Someone, I think today we have a lot of married people in the house because someone has asked, how can one balance dating between someone who is working an 8 to 5 job and a person who works from home? An example is 8 to 5 will prefer to just rest over the weekend, but for the work from home will prefer to be out on weekends.
What was the question there?
How do you balance between dating someone who is doing an 8 to 5 job and the other one is working from home, because the 8 to 5 will prefer to be out on weekends and the other one will prefer to be indoors during weekends?
This is where now intentionality comes. Remember, I have to put into consideration this person who has not stepped out of the home the whole day. We did not have these things of people working from home. They came with COVID. The working from home business was not hard, especially in Kenya and many parts of Africa. These are things that have come. So intentionality says that we are in a relationship. We have to balance. So if it is picking a few hours of the weekend and going out together, intentionality demands that we sit down and talk about that. Because I am accommodating this one who was not going out, and also me that was working an 8 to 5 job. The other one is accommodating me that needs to rest. So we agree over maybe a few hours one day for the purpose of the other. So conversation has to happen. I know one of the things that is not very common in a relationship is communication. People think they talk, but people talk at each other. All they give information like they are instructing, like an instructor. A relationship is not about instructions. It is about concession. It's about sitting down and having consent. I agree, you disagree until you are able to agree, and now you say we have agreed to this. And in fact, people argue. We talked. We even talked about it. What you're saying, we talked, you're saying you talked at me. Or you instructed me like a small boy or a small girl. Now, a relationship that is maybe marriage, and today I feel like we are talking more on marriage. A marriage relationship, and this has to begin from courtship, maybe not at dating. Dating still is an interview. There must be this communication of consent. I have agreed, I have accepted, I have understood. That is communication. Not throwing hard words here and there and you say, I told you, you can't remember that day we were talking and I told you everything. So it calls for communication, and please don't assume. Maybe this person who is working at home might assume that the other one should understand that I have not left the house the whole week. And the one who is working might also assume this other one is understanding that me, I have been going every day, so I'm tired. Talk. Remember, we talked about value. Where have we put our value? Is it to the work or to the relationship?
So communicate and compromise and don't assume. All right. Then someone else sent in a question and they said, my fiance and I have been super good and we are planning a wedding soon. I am really stressed because we have been fighting a lot about the budget and that he wants me to be a stay-at-home wife, but I want to be successful at my career and venture into business as well. Can I not do both? I feel like I want us to take a break until we figure this out. What should I do? Wow.
Now we find ourselves in that place, in that place of that listener. If the interview process was not successful, at the interview level, those are the kind of things that are supposed to be thrown here and there. That this is me. My name is Anne. I am a career person. These are my dreams. I would want to pursue my career. At one point, I would want to be working and doing business, so that the person you're interviewing or the person who is listening to you can be able to feel, once I get to this place, am I ready to receive such a person? Now, when we skip the process, these discussions happen at courtship. And you know what courtship is? They are happening when we have done introduction at home. We have paid dowry. We are planning the wedding. We have involved the church and even picked the date of the wedding. So that is when now you are having a discussion about my career's prospects. And we have already even formed a committee for planning the wedding. Can you see how many people are involved in that relationship? Because we did not take care of the interview process. Or sometimes when also we allow the dating process to be emotional. So we pass very fast into, will you marry me? When you really don't know who you are marrying. Because if the questions we are asking each other is about career, at the point of planning the wedding, there was a problem. Now, if this is where I'm at, you will have to involve the third parties that are in your party. This needs to get to the pastor or your best couple, so that then they help you to navigate that conversation if you are already in that situation. Because remember, if you're in the planning phase of your wedding, calling off the wedding or the preparations or the the relationship has a higher stake. Sometimes even the dowry has been paid. Now we are going to call the wazays and we are calling them to return the dowry that has been paid. And there is all this tradition thing that has to be done. Young people, marriage is serious. It is not a game. It is a lifetime commitment we are getting into. So this person who is in that scenario, please pick the third parties that are around you, pastor, a best couple, a mentor, someone who can be able to help you solve that. Because that is just a misunderstanding part. The man is still before 1960. And they still think that they are the providers and the woman is the nurturer. So they are still living in that age. So somebody needs to help them to come and live in 2024.
A follow-up question to that one. Are we allowed to change our minds? Perhaps maybe you said this is what you wanted at that stage in your life before you got married, and that is what you are thinking, that is where your headspace was at. But then you get into the marriage situation and then something changes. Are you allowed to have such a shift?
So when you say something changes, you mean what is changing?
Perhaps a woman might have said she wants to be a career person, during the interview stage. However, when she actually gets into the place of marriage and now she has maybe her first child and she thinks, wow, I actually want to stay home and take care of my children, and I'm not sure I want to go back to my career. Is
Emmy,
that allowed? Yes.
a marriage relationship, I said, is a communication, a continuous communication center. There are so many changes that will happen, so many, including how you look, including the shape, including the if they were size 8, you become what is that size they give us, those of us plus size? I mean, very many things will change. So communication is continuous. Amy, someone can get bedridden. You had not discussed that at the point of courtship. Was there a conversation of somebody being bedridden or getting an accident? Conversation has to happen at any time. So it's a continuous communication center. I think the part I was emphasizing about having communicated, it is this particular one who they are now having arguments over whether she will continue working or not. That's when I mentioned that this argument was supposed to have happened at dating. And you're muted. I don't know whether I can't hear you or I'm the one who is.
I was thinking out loud. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good to know. So communication, compromise, don't assume. I think this is what we are getting as a recurrent theme during our conversation today. Someone wrote to us and said, my sister got married and is really, really happy raising her children and taking care of her family. She says it gives her fulfillment and gives her life meaning. I am confused because she has a degree in law and she says she doesn't want to go back to practicing law. Her husband seems to love them very much, and my sister is super happy. Is it okay what she's doing, or is she lying to herself?
Parenting is a career. So I can choose. I can choose to just take care of my children. By the way, if every single woman had money, they can't go to work and leave children at home.
Wow.
There is no woman who can leave a 3 months baby at home with a house help if they had money. Coupled with the phone calls that they make during the day. Did they drink milk? Did you warm it? How is he? Did they wake up? They slept. Even when they are working, they are really not working. They are working, but at home. The way a woman has been made and nurtured and formed by God. Consider this, they just pay us to take care of children. Yeah, so if they had money, they would not be required to go, of course, to work. So some choose, and they're not crazy. They're okay. It is where have you put your value? And for this particular one, they put value in the family, and that is what they chose. I am one of those. I failed to pursue the growth of my career to raise children. And I am not telling everybody to do that. That is where I'd put my value for 10 years. But of course, I did a lot of self-development during the same time. I went back to school. I had so much time. I was doing a few businesses here and there, but I was able to raise my children closely.
Money, you money, and we catch you. So,
I don't
someone
know,
also.
I don't know, Emmy, whether you have seen a meme that was going that was going around there. And there was this person who had tagged money somewhere. And that person was really running. And the other one is behind running after this money. But the one who is holding the string, which is holding money, is also running. And that is exactly what we do for the rest of our lives. Please don't value money that much. Because now imagine, at what point did that person get the money?
Catch you, yeah.
Because both of you are running.
Okay. So, we see your point. We see your point, Madam K. Okay. So someone here says, I feel like I have been in the same position at work for so many years. I feel like this is very unfair, especially because I see male counterparts get promoted but do less work and with poorer quality than my work. How can I get back into the competition? Oh yeah.
I'm hearing comparison. We are not the same. We are different. Life treats us differently. We get different opportunities. If I would start there, that also would be the starting point of the healing of this person. Just knowing that we are different. And even that in that very particular place of work, you can look at yourself and also say, what am I getting beyond? That question, I'm hearing a lot of promotion and money attached to it. But if we were to take away the money, there are many other things that we get in our careers. We gain experience, we gain relationships, we gain networks, we gain experience, lessons that cannot be taught in a university. There is a lot we gain. Even as we are really building careers, can we also be able to look beyond money and see how we can be able to look at life differently? The job I did for 4 years. I was employed by a psychiatrist who had a dairy farm, and he had a dairy industry at his home. And because he was a very elderly man and very godly, I was earning very little money, employed at his farm and living with them at home. They had given me an SQ. Emmy, apart from the money I received from that home, I learned one thing called empathy for workers. That man loved us. That man would organize a party, calls the whole family, the important people in the family. I'm talking about these big wings, the ones that are called wings. And he still makes us sit on table with those big people on table, served together. He taught me empathy and love for workers. That is not taught in the university. So as my workmates and my college mates were earning 40,000, 50, and me, I think I was earning less than 10, I was earning this, I was learning this, I was in this school of life that I earned a lot. The second thing that I gained from that man is the one I am doing here. He was always in the media talking about mental health. I was a food technologist. I desired mental health and mental wellness because of that man. These things are not taught in schools. So beyond the promotion and the money you are getting from that place of work, please look beyond the money and learn what else is this that you're learning. The other thing I learned is being a true Christian. This man was in his 60s. Being a true Christian and rich, because he was filthy rich, but a true Christian, a true believer. I'm learning these things when I'm 23. They changed my life. So at that point, I did not need 40,000. Those are the values I needed. And God just brought them my way. I don't know how I've answered that question, but I want to believe somebody has gotten the answer.
Wow. Yes, I believe, look at what else you are gaining, not only the money. Let's stop focusing so much on the money, financial gains, promotions, accolades. Let's look at what other things we are getting from that particular place. Well, I think that is very well answered. Someone says, my wife and I ran 3 successful businesses together, and we have 2 beautiful children. I sometimes feel like I'm not attracted to my wife, especially when she is being a boss at work. Please hide my ID. Don't get me wrong, I love her, but I don't want her anymore. I feel like we are 2 men sometimes, or like she is one of my boys. I have never cheated and don't plan to cheat, but I want to know how to save my marriage and get my love and passion for each other back. Wow, that is a loaded question.
I am hearing familiarity. They say familiarity brings contempt. If there is a person you would want to be familiar with and get bored with is a person you live with every day in the house, go to work together, stay the whole day together, get back and you sleep in the same bed. Yes, I see the way you're looking. I am simply saying that love is a choice. It is not a feeling. I know we describe it as a feeling, but it is not. So love is a choice. So I have to choose to love. I have to choose to love my partner. When we are 25, I love them. When she gives birth and she has moved from size 8 to plus size, I love them. When sometimes they overeat because they are pregnant, I choose to love them. I mean, if there is a place where love is tested, it is in a marriage relationship. So it is a choice I have to make every single day to remain with that person that I am with. People are not unfaithful because they want. People become unfaithful because they have, I hear them saying they fell out of love. No, they fell out of the choice to love. So love is a choice, even if you are not working together. I mean, you're too familiar. You are ever together. You are everywhere with them. And this is the, I mean, even you, when you eat githeri every day, githeri, every time you meet, it is githeri that has been served. Morning, breakfast, dinner, githeri. I mean, even if it's pizza, every day, every meal, it is going to be boring. But if this is what has to be served to you, you love it. Now, what do I do then to build the spark? Of course, there must be things that you do together that can at least be able to change the environment. Go out together, change the environment you're in. Take a night off without children. Spend that night just by the two of you. Do a pillow game, beat each other with the pillows and laugh. Watch a movie together. Do things that you were doing together before and just build the spark, because this is an intentional choice. And let me tell you, even when people go and pick this second one because they think this one is better, by the time it is 2-3 years, the familiarity comes. So you keep picking another and the cycle continues and it will never end, because love is a choice.
Interesting. Good advice. At least there are practical steps. Go outside, go on a date, be friends again, excite one another. Wow.
Let me remind yourself how you looked at, like, why did you love this person? Remind each other how you looked. Like we are talking about now, like me, it's 18 years back. Remind each other the first time you met, how the hair used to look, your eyes. At least remind them when they were size 8, not plus size now. I mean, such. Because it is a choice.
It's a choice. Wow. And running to someone else is not going to fix the issue.
No, you will have done that choice, but I said familiarity will come.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You seem to have a little child somewhere. Please remember to put your... okay. Sawa. So someone asked, I can see we have just a bit more time. Someone says, I hear all the time that the role and duty of a wife is to support the husband, and that kind of makes me feel like I don't want to get married anymore, because who will support me and my own dreams and my career?
The Bible says that it is not good for a man to be alone. That is in Genesis. And the Bible says, I will make for him a helper suitable for him. So whether we are in 21st century or in the 18th century, if we can be able to go back there, a woman will be a helper to a man. That is our designation. But allow me to empower the woman that if you are coming to help, you must be more powerful and more energetic. If I was carrying a very heavy load and I needed help, will I tell a baby to help me raise that load? I will look for someone who is unequal in strength or even more stronger to help me lift that load. So a woman, that is who you are.
Enough said. Period. Okay, okay. Hey, you will not look for someone who is weaker than you to help you. That's just how it is. I don't think we need to add any more to that. Someone also asked, this is a deep one. My husband was the breadwinner of the family and he just passed away. Sorry. I then found out that we are even in debt and the land we have is in some kind of contention. Where do I start to get things in order again? Okay.
Yeah, these are the realities of life, Emmy. And again, these are things we don't communicate or talk about in relationships. We always believe that ours will be a happily ever after. And you know those fairy tales of they lived forever and ever. And they lived very happy. The truth is that as much as we would really love that we remain in this relationship, these are things that come. So when they come, whoever has been left behind, you need to mourn first. One of the things that people do is to mix mourning and organizing things. During mourning, you are not sober. During mourning, you are not yourself. So any decision you make is not made from a place of sobriety. It is more emotional than a well-thought decision. Because remember, you are unstable. This is something that has happened and you had not expected it to. So the beginning point is not settling those things. It is mourning first. And looking for all the support and help you need to be able to mourn well. So that now if it is taking decisions, you make decisions with a sober mind. There are people who have been left after a loved one has passed on, and maybe it is not a scenario like the question you've just asked, but because of the emotions of the time and they are not had time to heal, you make very drastic moves. Drastic moves like moving from where you are living, changing houses, buying properties, even leaving the country. Those are decisions you shouldn't make, especially in the first 1 year of mourning. But if you have psychological support, if you have psychosocial support around you, the people that are helping you through that process can help you make those decisions, because at that point you will be using their mind, not yours. So for this one, because there are decisions you have to really make now, please seek support from genuine people around you. Many people have lost loved ones and they have been taken advantage of. There are some people who come wearing clothes of a helper, support, and very good people, but they have come to extort. And because, of course, they know your mind is not sober, it is very easy to be extorted. And many people, especially widows, have been extorted millions of money by people they thought came to help. So if you don't have family and friends that you really trust, maybe you can seek professional counseling or a counselor or support of a lawyer. Again, you have to be very careful. Because someone will be looking at you and see, this one is a target, I can be able to milk them dry. So it's a very tricky place to be. But the good thing about life is that there's a way of just picking your pieces and moving on and being able to live beyond the pain and the grief. But if you can be able to just take those precautionary measures, then they will help you be able to navigate through this difficult time.
Wow. Hey, okay. I think we have really spoken about marriage, married people. I think because that is where a lot of these issues and concerns seem to come up. But I see there's one here that sounds like someone who is not married yet. And they said, my friend is basically an escort. Wow, what a way to begin. She gets in touch with people online and then they meet and she comes home the next day and sometimes after a weekend away. I sometimes worry for her safety because of the women that were being killed in the same way by the weird ritual people. I feel I have tried to ask her to stop, but she says she doesn't see herself doing an actual job. How should I assist her?
There is a part I have not gotten, the very beginning of it, that this person goes out.
This person said my friend is basically an escort. She gets in touch with people online and then they meet and she comes home the next day and sometimes after a weekend away. I sometimes worry for her safety because of the women that have been killed in the same way by the weird ritual people. I have tried to ask her to stop, but she says she doesn't see herself doing an actual job. How should I assist her?
Again, that is a modern day scenario. I said value. Where have we put value? If we have put value in money over life, we will value money and we will do everything to get money. And sometimes even put our lives in danger to get money. That the scenario you've just explained is a typical example of what is happening, especially in our nation among young people, especially college-going students. In the desire, of course, of being able to maintain this high-class life. And by the way, why should I be living a high-class life when I'm in campus? Who cares how my hair looks like? Why should I even be wearing designer clothes and designer shoes? Why? Who said I must eat at Art Cafe? No, who said? I am a student. I'm 20 years. I'm 21. A 1-year-old is supposed to be broke. So this desire of living a life that is not our own can really expose the youth to very dangerous situations. And I pray that we don't find ourselves there. Value life. Imagine if you are broke at 21. I can bet. Emmy, I can assure you, you can be broke at 21. And this is not prophetic. But you cannot be as broke as you were when you turn 40. You will have grown. The greatest wealth that young people possess is time. You are very rich, young people. Please don't waste your life with one year of excitement. You are very rich. Some of the old people wish they would be 21, but they are not. Because at 70, you are nearer death than a 21-year-old naturally. Even me, who is in my 40s, I am nearer 70 than you, who is 20, who is calculating over 50 years. Imagine the 21-year-old or the 20-year-old who is here. Before you turn 70, it is a whopping 50 years. You have longer time to live. All those dreams that you have, if you want to travel the world, you are telling me 50 years to come, you will not have traveled the world. Have some patience, young people. The greatest wealth that you possess is time. Use it wisely.
Wow. I think we have gone through all the questions. Or maybe you have like 2 minutes to give us this one and then we can close the show for the night. Someone said, I have been a housewife for 13 years now. My husband and I did not have a very good relationship, and I knew he cheated on me several times. I stayed with my kids here because if it was not for me, he would not have the ideas and businesses he has today. I feel cheated and I really hate him now. He says he provides everything for us and the schools they are in are great schools. But I really feel like I would have married a poor man but been happy. How can I change this situation?
Unfortunately, that situation cannot change, but attitude can change. It can't change because you see, 13 years, you're talking of things that have already happened, but you can change the attitude. Just like we were talking about that person who is looking forward for promotion, this person can look at how well they have raised their children and appreciate themselves. They can look at the kids that for 13 years they have been able to be present in the lives of their children. There is a mother who is working and crying because they don't know who their children are. They have raised them, they have money, but they don't have a relationship with their children. So the only thing that needs to change here is attitude. And attitude changes by starting to appreciate yourself and be able to see good things even in bad situations. And being able to read between lines of life and looking for silver linings. There are very many. The greatest silver lining is that you are alive. And because you are still breathing, something good can still happen tomorrow. Because you are not in the grave. So attitude change.
Wow, attitude change. I think the take home for me today is during the interview stage, talk about all these things. If you are already in a marriage or a situation where it's very difficult to change, learn to communicate to compromise and not to assume. And finally, if something is really, really weighing heavy on you, take a moment, understand it's happening, change your attitude. If you've lost someone or something, take that time to grieve and find help. So, Madam K, thank you so much once again for opening our eyes. I know personally my eyes have really been opened to a lot of realities that maybe a lot of us may not have been privy to. So thank you for that. And thank you for everyone who has joined today. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for interacting with us. Thank you for sending in your questions. And thank you for also just coming through, being with us tonight. We really appreciate your company. And most importantly, Madam K, thank you for being here, for talking to us, and for giving us a wealth of knowledge and information that we can use and apply in our daily lives. For anyone who feels led to support this particular conversations, our till number is 4324682, and it will read Karambu Ann. Madam K, maybe if you want to say something before we close the show, we'll be happy to hear from you once again.
Maybe one of us would be wanting to say something, those that are on Zoom. Maybe you can have one or two and then we close. If you have something you'd want, maybe feedback, a question, a comment, you can unmute yourself and speak. If not so, Amy, you can pick one or two to say something.
Madam K, you're just going to put me on the spot. Maybe we can hear something from Lucy. We've never had Lucy before. Maybe we can have something from her. Lucy, please say something and then we can